Have you ever wondered why supermarket peppers often taste like watery cardboard, while garden-grown peppers are an absolute explosion of sweet, crisp flavor? Or maybe you have tried growing them yourself, only to end up with tiny, sad-looking plants that barely produce 2 or 3 fruits. Well, what if I told you that achieving a flawless, massive pepper harvest is not just for expert farmers? In this video, I am going to reveal the step-by-step secrets to growing your own dream peppers from A to Z. We are going to cover everything from the magic temperature needed to wake up your seeds to a counterintuitive trick involving picking off flowers that will actually triple your yield. A lot of people think growing great vegetables is just about luck or having a green thumb, but the truth is entirely different. I challenge you to stick around because by the end of this guide, you will know exactly how to turn a tiny seed into a heavy fruit-bearing masterpiece. Tell me in the comments right now, do you think green peppers and red peppers are completely different plants or just the same plant at different times? Let us see who gets it right. Before we get our hands dirty in the soil, it really helps to understand exactly where these wonderful plants come from. Peppers, scientifically known as Capsicum annuum, are originally native to the warm, sunny regions of Central and South America. They have been cultivated by humans for thousands of years, long before they ever made their way across the ocean to Europe and the rest of the world. Because of their tropical origins, peppers have a deep genetic love for heat and sunlight. They absolutely despise the cold. Understanding this simple historical fact is the master key to everything we're going to do today. Unlike cool weather crops like lettuce or peas, which can tolerate a frosty morning, peppers need warm soil, warm air, and long days of glorious sunshine to perform their best. When we try to grow them in our own backyard gardens, our main goal is to recreate that warm tropical environment as closely as possible. Keep that tropical origin in mind, because it is the driving force behind every single secret and technique I am about to share with you. Let us start at the very beginning of your pepper journey, which is choosing the right seeds and starting them indoors. Many people believe the common myth that you can just toss pepper seeds into the garden dirt as soon as the sun comes out and hope for the best. But peppers are tropical plants at heart, and they demand warmth to wake up. If the soil is cold, the seeds will simply sit there and rot. You need to start your seeds indoors about 8 to 10 weeks before your last expected spring frost. Imagine you are wrapping your seeds in a warm, cozy blanket. You want to use a high-quality seed starting mix that is light and fluffy, not heavy garden soil that will suffocate the tiny roots. Fill your seed trays, place 1 or 2 seeds in each cell, and cover them with a very thin layer of soil. The real secret here is using a seedling heat mat. This simple device raises the soil temperature to that sweet spot of about 80 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. I once tried starting peppers on a cold kitchen counter, and out of 50 seeds, only 3 sprouted. The next year, with a heat mat, almost every single one popped up within a week. It makes a massive difference. Keep the soil constantly moist, but not soaking wet, like a wrung-out sponge. Once you see those little green loops pushing through the soil, you can turn off the heat mat and move on to the next crucial step. Now that your little pepper babies have popped out of the soil, they are going to be incredibly hungry for light. Here is where a lot of beginner gardeners make a heartbreaking mistake. They place their newly sprouted seedlings on a sunny windowsill and think nature will do the rest. But window light is often too weak and coming from only one direction. Your plants will stretch out, reaching desperately for the sun, and become tall, thin, and incredibly fragile. We call these leggy seedlings, and they rarely survive the harsh winds once planted outside. To fix this, you need to bring the sun directly to them using artificial grow lights. You do not need expensive professional greenhouse lights. Even standard fluorescent shop lights or simple LED panels will work wonders. The trick is to keep the lights very close to the plants, just about 2 to 3 inches above the top leaves. As the plants grow taller, you simply raise the lights. Think of it like adjusting a reading lamp so you can clearly see the words on a page without straining your eyes. Keep the lights on for 14 to 16 hours a day to simulate the long days of early summer. By giving them intense overhead light, your pepper plants will grow thick, sturdy stems and lush, dark green leaves. They will look like tiny little oak trees, perfectly prepared to support the heavy, juicy peppers you are dreaming of. Before we can even think about moving your beautiful, sturdy seedlings out into the garden, we have to talk about a critical transition phase called hardening off. Imagine you have spent the entire winter inside a cozy, perfectly climate-controlled house, and then suddenly someone throws you out into the middle of a hot, windy beach with no sunscreen. You would get severely sunburned and probably sick. Well, your pepper plants feel the exact same way. The myth is that once the weather warms up, indoor plants are ready for the great outdoors immediately. This is totally false. The leaves grown indoors are soft and sensitive to direct ultraviolet rays and strong winds. You have to introduce them to the outside world slowly over the course of about 10 to 14 days. On the first day, place your plants outside in a shady, protected spot for just 1 or 2 hours, and then bring them back inside. Over the next 2 weeks, gradually increase their time outside and slowly expose them to more direct morning sunlight. By the end of the second week, they should be able to stay out all day and all night, handling full sun and gentle breezes with ease. A great illustration of this is how we build up a base tan during the early summer, starting with short exposures to avoid damage. This careful process thickens their cell walls and prepares them for the real world, ensuring you do not lose your hard work to a sudden case of transplant shock. When your pepper plants are finally fully hardened off and the danger of frost has completely passed, it is time for the grand event of planting them out in the garden. But you cannot just dig a hole in hard clay and expect miracles. Peppers are heavy feeders and require rich, well-draining soil to truly thrive. Before you plant, you need to prepare their new home. Work a generous amount of rich organic compost into your garden beds. Compost acts like a magical sponge, holding on to essential moisture while allowing excess water to drain away freely. It also provides a steady, slow release of nutrients throughout the growing season. When digging the planting holes, space them about 18 to 24 inches apart. This spacing is vital because it allows for proper air circulation between the mature plants, which drastically reduces the risk of fungal diseases. Now, here is a fantastic pro tip for planting. Unlike tomatoes, which you can bury deep up to their top leaves, peppers do not like being buried too deeply. Plant them at exactly the same depth they were growing in their little pots. If you bury the stem of a pepper plant, it is very likely to rot right at the soil line. I once lost an entire row of beautiful bell peppers because I planted them just 2 inches too deep. Treat them gently. Firm the soil around the base to remove any air pockets, and give them a generous drink of water to help them settle into their new home. Watering your peppers might seem like the easiest task in the world, but it is actually where things often go completely wrong. There is a very common myth that you should water your vegetable garden a little bit every single day. For peppers, this is a recipe for disaster. Shallow, frequent watering encourages the plants to grow their roots right at the surface of the soil. When the hot summer sun beats down, that surface soil dries out instantly, leaving your plants stressed and thirsty. Instead, you need to practice deep, infrequent watering. You want to soak the soil thoroughly, getting the water down several inches deep, and then wait a few days until the top inch or two of the soil feels completely dry before watering again. This forces the pepper roots to dive deep into the earth, searching for moisture, creating a stronger, more drought-resistant plant. Think of it like training an athlete for a marathon rather than a short sprint. Deep roots mean a resilient plant. Uneven watering can also lead to a dreaded condition called blossom end rot, where the bottom of your beautiful peppers turns black and mushy. This happens because the plant cannot absorb calcium properly when the soil moisture is constantly fluctuating. So, stick your finger in the dirt. If it feels dry down to your second knuckle, it is time to give them a long, slow, deep drink at the base of the plant, keeping the leaves totally dry. To make your deep watering strategy truly effective, you absolutely must introduce your pepper garden to the magic of mulch. Leaving the soil bare around your pepper plants is like going out into a freezing winter night without a coat. The soil is left completely exposed to the harsh elements. The sun bakes it dry, the wind blows the topsoil away, and heavy rain causes the dirt to splash up onto the leaves, which can spread nasty soil-borne diseases. Applying a thick layer of organic mulch solves all of these problems at once. You can use straw, shredded leaves, or grass clippings from your lawn, as long as they have not been treated with any chemical herbicides. Lay down about 2 to 3 inches of your chosen mulch all around the base of the plants, but make sure to leave a tiny gap right at the stem so it does not cause rotting. Mulch acts as an incredible insulating blanket. It keeps the root zone cool during the blistering heat of midsummer and dramatically slows down water evaporation. You will be amazed at how much less you have to water when you use a good layer of mulch. Plus, it blocks the sunlight from reaching weed seeds, stopping those annoying weeds from sprouting and stealing precious nutrients from your peppers. As the organic mulch slowly breaks down over the season, it also feeds the soil, adding even more rich organic matter to help your garden thrive year after year. Now we are going to talk about a technique that feels incredibly wrong, but is absolutely essential for an enormous harvest. We need to discuss pruning and pinching off the early flowers. When your pepper plants are still small, maybe only a foot tall, they will often get very excited and start producing little white flower buds. Your first instinct will be to leave them alone, thinking that flowers equal peppers. But here is the hard truth. If a tiny plant puts all of its energy into growing 1 or 2 early peppers, it will completely stop growing taller and wider. You will end up with a tiny plant and a tiny harvest. You have to be ruthless and pinch off those first early blooms. By removing those flowers, you are sending a signal to the plant to redirect its energy back into growing deeper roots, a thicker main stem, and more leafy branches. Think of it like telling a young student to finish their education before trying to start a demanding career. Building a strong foundation is everything. Once the plant has reached a substantial size and is sturdy enough to support the weight of a heavy crop, you can finally let the flowers bloom and set fruit. The difference is staggering. A plant that was allowed to fruit too early might give you 3 peppers, while a plant that was pinched back and allowed to grow large could easily produce over 20 beautiful, perfectly shaped peppers in a single season. As your pepper plants grow and begin to set their magnificent fruit, they are going to need a lot of energy, which means it is time to talk about fertilizing. The biggest myth here is that more fertilizer simply equals bigger plants and more food. But if you give your peppers the wrong kind of food at the wrong time, you might ruin your harvest. In the early stages of growth, right after planting, peppers need a balanced fertilizer with a good amount of nitrogen to help them grow those lush green leaves. However, once the plant starts producing flowers and fruit, too much nitrogen is your worst enemy. If you dump heavy nitrogen on a flowering pepper plant, it will drop all its blossoms and focus entirely on growing massive, useless leaves. It is like feeding a professional athlete a giant bowl of sugary candy right before a big race, giving them a quick rush but totally ruining their performance. When the flowers appear, you need to switch to a fertilizer that is lower in nitrogen, but much higher in phosphorus and potassium. Phosphorus is the key element that promotes strong, healthy blossom development and robust root growth, while potassium helps the fruit itself grow large and develop rich flavors. Look for a liquid organic fertilizer designed specifically for tomatoes and vegetables, and apply it every 2 to 3 weeks to keep the nutrient buffet flowing steadily to your hungry plants. Even with the best care, your pepper garden might attract some unwanted visitors, so we need to be prepared for pest and disease management. The most common villains you will encounter are aphids. These are tiny, soft-bodied insects that gather in massive clusters on the undersides of the leaves and on the newest, most tender growth. They literally suck the life sap right out of your plants, causing the leaves to curl up and turn yellow. Many people panic and reach for harsh chemical bug sprays, but that is a terrible mistake. Chemical sprays kill the bad bugs, but they also kill all the good, beneficial insects in your garden. Instead, you can use a strong blast of water from your garden hose to simply knock the aphids right off the plant. For a more persistent problem, you can use neem oil, which is a natural organic solution that disrupts the life cycle of the pests without harming the environment. Even better, you can introduce natural predators to your garden. Ladybugs are nature's ultimate aphid assassins. Releasing a small box of ladybugs into your pepper patch is like deploying a tiny, incredibly hungry army to protect your crops. They will happily feast on the aphids and keep the population totally under control. Keeping an eye out for these early warning signs and using gentle, natural defenses will ensure your plants stay healthy and stress-free all the way to harvest time. Finally, we have reached the most rewarding part of the entire journey, which is harvesting your perfect peppers for maximum flavor and yield. A lot of beginners assume that all green bell peppers are just a specific green variety. The truth is, almost every green bell pepper you see in the store is simply an unripe pepper. If you leave that green pepper on the plant for a few more weeks, it will magically change color to a vibrant red, bright yellow, or deep orange, depending on the specific seed variety you planted. As the color changes, the flavor transforms completely. The pepper becomes significantly sweeter, incredibly rich, and packed with high levels of vitamin C. However, there is a strategic trade-off. Leaving fruit on the plant to ripen fully tells the plant that its job is done, and it will slow down new flower production. If you want a massive volume of peppers, pick them while they are green. If you want the absolute best gourmet flavor, wait patiently for the full color change. When it is time to harvest, please do not just grab the pepper and pull. Pepper branches are surprisingly brittle. I once tried to yank a stubborn pepper and accidentally snapped off an entire main branch loaded with baby fruit. Always use a sharp, clean pair of pruning shears or scissors to snip the stem cleanly. This protects the plant from damage and ensures it can keep producing those dream peppers for you until the very end of the season. And there you have it, the ultimate turning point in your gardening journey. The secret to that flawless, jaw-dropping pepper harvest is no longer a mystery. From using a simple heat mat to wake up those tropical seeds, to providing the right grow lights, practicing deep watering, and having the sheer courage to pinch off those early flowers, you are now equipped with everything you need. Understanding that your plants need a strong root foundation before producing fruit completely changes the game. No more tiny, struggling plants, just huge, sturdy bushes dripping with vibrant, delicious peppers. I hope you take these secrets and apply them to your own backyard this season. Thank you so much for watching and spending your time with me today. If you learned something new and exciting, please hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and share this video with your fellow gardening friends. Now, I have a question for you to answer in the comments below. Are you going to harvest your peppers while they are crisp and green, or do you have the patience to wait for that sweet, brilliant red? Let us get a conversation going down there, and I will see you in the next video.